You're watching Community Conversations, a Concord TV production.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host Josh Hardy, Executive Director at Concord TV. And with me today, it's a really exciting episode. We're going to be talking about Making Matters, which is a great new makerspace which is coming to Pennacook. And I have with me Laura Miller, who is the founding member of Making Matters. So thanks for coming in to talk to us about this really exciting endeavor that you guys are.
Well, thanks for having me, Josh.
Yeah. So tell us, for people who don't know about the concept of a makerspace, kind of what that's all about, what really the mission is.
Sure. So a makerspace is a kind of a new word in the last few years. It's really a co-working space with awesome tools. So if you think about a shared community resource space where people would become members or come and take a class, learn how to use woodshop tools or make jewelry. We're going to have all sorts of different spaces like computer robotics to all the way up to metal shop.
So it's all about the hands-on experience.
Right.
It's about, you can go in and whatever medium that you are interested in, that you could try it out.
Right. And it's a no failure space. That's the most important thing. Like, if you don't like something, you just try something else. It's kind of a DIY gym. You know, if you think about having a space where you can go and pick up, you know, the elliptical machine or pick up a bicycle, you're picking up a lathe or a computer.
That's really cool. Yeah. So where you are the founding member of this, where did the idea come?
One of a team.
One of a team, who else is on this team, by the way?
So we have 8 board members now. Yeah. We had 5 when we started, and we are looking for lots of other people to get involved. But names you might know, Jessica Livingston, who runs the Multicultural Festival and does a lot of event planning. She's one of our board members. Gary Miller, who a lot of people know through the Rotary and the Chamber. We are not related, just coincidentally, both named Miller.
Yeah. Okay.
Gary's our vice president. Our secretary is Sandra Castle, who's a relatively new resident to New Hampshire. She and her husband live up in Henniker. Jared Reynolds, who has served as our treasurer, is part of the UNH Cooperative Extension Service and does community economic development there. He's also involved in town Concord. And Chelsea Bailey is, actually, I forgot one, forgive me. Lisa Stockwell is at the NHTI Business Technical Community Center. Nancy Paul is the executive director of the Friends Program. And Chelsea Bailey is our youngest board member at 25, who is the queen of creative reuse and bringing a whole new level of energy to the group.
All right, it's kind of the dream team there.
Yeah, it's great.
A lot of,
There's a lot of room for more, though.
Oh yeah, of course. But so the inspiration for this, how did it all start? Kind of, I'm sure it's a long story, but in a nutshell, kind of, how did this all come to be?
So I started dreaming about Makerspace when we would have called it a business incubator back a long time ago when my daughter was turning 18. She has significant disability and started thinking about all the people out there that want to start small businesses, kind of more cottage industry or micro businesses, hobby businesses. And we needed a place to support that. And so started thinking about it a long time ago. Fast forward about a decade, and I had started Marketplace New England, working with local artists and bringing that retail element to the craft market, and started talking to everybody that would talk to me about how we needed a business incubator for micro business. And Jessica and I sat down one day and said, we really need a commercial kitchen in Concord, and then just started bringing people into the mix, and a few months later formed a board, formed a nonprofit, and a year later, here we are ready to really get open.
So, I mean, this seems like a story in terms of, for Concord and Pennacook, when people realize that there's something we don't have, when there's a gap in our community.
Yep.
And this sounds like an example where you made sure that this was something that could actually happen. And I think in our community, I mean, this isn't a question necessarily, but I feel like the endeavor that you guys have gone through to make this happen, in our community, we all identify things that we wish were better or things that we wish we had. Right. And I think coming up with this makerspace is just, it's one thing that we didn't have in our community, and now soon we will have. So.
Right. So the cool thing about makerspace is that, like I said before, it's a no failure space. It's great for people of all ages, all abilities. We're going to have stuff for families there. Millennials have really gotten excited about the idea of having a space to hang out and build their community that's not a bar, and no offense to the bars in the world, but it's hard to find space where you can go and meet people and have it not be in that kind of a situation. We think about we could have board game nights where people could just come and hang out, and maybe they make their own board games, or maybe they just play ones off the shelf, but they're creative and building that community. There are makerspaces in several towns around mostly southern New Hampshire: Nashua, Manchester, Portsmouth, Keene, Peterborough. Claremont opened last year, and Wolfboro is working on one. And then there's some around the colleges, like UNH has a space, in Plymouth State. But there's nothing close by to Concord.
Right.
So we're really excited about being able to create this community space.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit, because recently you guys had some exciting news about the location and that you've been undergoing some work with that. Can you tell us a little bit about that location that you found?
Yeah, so we cold called one day and said, is this space available? And the building manager connected us to the building owner. Beede Russell is the building owner where we've found our home. It's the old Beede Electric building in Pennacook, and 88 Village Street is the address. It's right on Route 3, has tons of parking, has a beautiful space where we can do events in the front lawn, and we are the last tenant in the building to bring that building back to life. It's been empty for a long time.
Yep.
It's depending on who you talk to, it's 12, 14 years it's been empty.
Yep.
And Regal Auctions took on the back of the building, and there are a few other small tenants in the space, and we're taking the entire front of the building where the office was.
Right.
And we're just all super excited about bringing this building back to life, and trimming out the hedges and making it look beautiful again, and having lots of activity. Beede Electric was a major employer in the village of Pennacook, and having that building sit empty has been a true loss for the neighborhood.
Yeah, so for the history of Pennacook, to be able to have that building being used for such a cool community project is really cool. Now, you mentioned trimming the hedges and kind of alluding to some of the work that has to be done.
Yeah.
I assume you're looking for volunteers, and if so, what types of help are you looking for right now?
Right. So for the fit-up space, and if the program airs in time, it will make sense for our first fit-up days, the 10th and the 11th, Veterans Day weekend. We are planning to have the public in to help us clean and paint. And as you can imagine, in a space that's been idle for a while, there was a lot of work to do to just make it nice again. We had to pull up a lot of old carpet, and we are painting the floors and getting everything kind of cleaned and ready to go. And then over time, we'd like to make the space a little funkier. It was an office. It was a 1950s office, and we want to make it colorful and creative space, lots of art space. And so we need fit up help, and that's not a lot of skilled labor, painting, cleaning, washing the windows, that kind of stuff in the next couple of weekends. And then over time, we are really looking for volunteers to help us set up the spaces, to donate materials if they have equipment that they don't need anymore. We are looking to give homes to anything from hand tools, from hammers and drills, to pretty sophisticated 3D printers and woodshop equipment, that kind of thing. So we need help to get the stuff up, get it set up. We'll need volunteers to help teach other people how to use the technology, and we need members, to come and use the space to make it work.
Now, are you planning on having like there's going to be board meetings and input sessions, or maybe that's already happened?
So a lot of the input sessions have happened already. We've done a lot of surveying, and we're planning, at this point, we don't want to have a ton more meetings because nobody wants to come to meetings. I mean, you're going to
make
school board
something
meetings, right?
happen.
Right. We want
Less
to be in
talking,
the
more doing.
implementation
Yep.
phase. So,
Yep.
as we get donations, organizing that stuff, and it might be unpacking things and getting it set up and help spreading the word too. So, talking to neighbors and groups and church groups and Kiwanis and all of those kinds of groups, just
Good,
getting the
yeah.
word out. We also are looking for corporate sponsors, and that what we'd like to do is have companies of any size offer a benefit to their employees, that if they give us some sponsorship, that then their employees could come and be members at a discount or take classes at a discount rate. So we're looking for people to get involved that way.
It's a great idea. Now, so for the big picture in terms of volunteerism, we're talking about November 10th and 11th, but for anyone who's watching this afterwards, if you're
Right.
watching this on YouTube and it's past that date, people should just reach out to you and ask, hey, what do you need, or can I help? What
Right.
do you need? Now, how would they get a hold of you if that was the case?
So everything's on our website, and that's makingmattersnh.org, or Facebook is probably the easiest way if they just look for Making Matters NH.
That's exciting. Now, do you
Yeah.
have to put you on the spot, do you have a rough date, roughly, always subject to change,
Sure,
that this
sure.
would kind of be ready to go, although I'm sure it's continually evolving.
We're hoping for a soft opening in January. We haven't nailed down a date. It won't be January 1st.
Yeah.
Mid to late January.
Gotcha.
And it will know that it will be a soft opening, and that we're opening with woodshop, with a computer lab, with 3D printing and some robotics capabilities. We'd like to have a satellite place for people to do digital media as well. Hoping to do podcasts and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Have some photography equipment. We have a textile area planned, small hand tools for lots of different arts. We have a classroom set up for business workshops as well as making workshops. And did I say wood shop? We will not have our metal shop set up when we open. We need to build in some more ventilation and things specific to that area that will take a little bit of construction. And so that's phase 1B. And then our grand hope to have a commercial kitchen in the space will be phase 2. We need to raise a significant amount of money to do that.
Right, but I think it's when you have a soft opening, it's with the expectation that it'll continually evolve and grow. And I think that's awesome that you guys are aiming for mid-January. I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you said subject to moving. Mid to late January, we'll be in there.
You're doing so much work that you don't need to set a hard date for that. There's still time to figure out exactly.
Right. So the other thing that we didn't talk about yet in the building is that the left-hand side of the building will be studio rental space. So we'll have offices and kind of designated spaces available for anyone in a creative, or anyone who wants to be in a creative space to rent their own space. So makerspace is carry in, carry out, work on your project, and then move your project out. And then on the other side of the space, we want to have permanent offices for people to rent. So if they want private space, they can have that in this community space.
So would it be like, for instance, one example maybe like a painter, someone who does oil paintings, who just they can't do it at home, maybe they have pets and they need a dedicated space to kind of do it. They could rent out a studio space, bring everything in, their own supplies, do it, and then take everything with them when they leave, generally?
So if they wanted a short-term space, makerspace would probably be better for that, because kind of a carry-in, carry-out space. But if they wanted to set up a studio for several months or permanently, then have that space available. Or a web developer or a photographer or someone who wanted to have very inexpensive space available with free parking and electricity and
good location,
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's 5 miles from downtown, and it's on the bus route, and it's it will be fully wheelchair accessible.
Good, good, Good. Yeah, I'm so excited for you guys. And
Yeah.
when we had talked about it a couple months ago, and when you kind of announced this was happening, it's, I think everyone's rooting for you guys, and whatever we can do to help. I know Mike back in the control room right now. He's hitting the buttons now, but he'll be there on the 10th, I believe. So
to do a little
not to put Mike on the spot back there. But Concord TV, we absolutely want to be supportive of the creative community and being part of Creative Concord and being supportive of your endeavors. And we just think it makes Concord a better place to live.
Yeah, it really does. It really does, because if you think about that, people say, well, I don't make anything. And I'll always put a comma there and say, yet.
Not yet, yeah.
And they'll kind of look at me cross-eyed like, but I don't do that. I don't want to use a wood shop. I don't want to do that. I said, okay, think about just the classroom opportunities that we can have for floral arranging. Or I had an herbalist reach out and they said they want to do a class on how to use herbs in in your cooking and in your home for health kinds of things. I look at that big beautiful lawn and say we can have events there every weekend if we have the if people want to use it. We could do dog agility events on this lawn. We could do really anything. We could have a cornhole tournament. I mean, we could do anything. Have food trucks there and craft markets and
truly make it a community space.
Yeah, a place to go. Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think this has been really, I've learned a lot. You've helped kind of explain this kind of in a very short way, kind of the concept of the makerspace. And like I said, we're really rooting you guys on and happy to help however we can.
Great.
And supportive. So thank you, Laura, for coming in and meeting with us. Was there anything else you wanted to, that I didn't ask about, or anything else?
No, I think we covered it. It was great. Yeah, so we're always looking for donations, absolutely, as everyone is, but it could be supply donations. We'll have a wish list up on the website in the next couple of days. If you have equipment that you're not using anymore, bring it down. At this point, if you have gallons of paint that you don't need anymore, that are a couple years old, and saving them for a project, bring them down. We'll put them to use. We have 9,000 square feet of office space to spruce up, and so we're looking to make it a really fun project.
Great. Well, thank you, Laura. Thanks for being on the show. And just again, for the audience, you can go to makingmattersnh.org for more information. And thank you, Laura. It's been a great show, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in to Community Conversations. You can find us on YouTube. We also post this as a podcast. If you would rather listen to this than watch it, we have that on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. So we really enjoy having this show. If you are a nonprofit and you want to be featured on Community Conversations, please reach out to me. My email is josh@yourconcordtv.org. We'd be happy to have your nonprofit featured on Community Conversations. So we'll see you next time.